Hello friends, happy Wednesday to you. Kevin Lindsay here from the Golden Tee Lounge. By the time you're watching this video, you will hopefully have made it halfway through the work week, getting ready, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, or throughout the weekend to play some Golden Tee golf. This week's classic course of the week on all commercial Golden Tee Live and Golden Tee PGA Tour games that are updated to 2022 is Agave Ranch, one of our more recent classic course of the week courses. It is only from 2019, but it is a very fun course. Technically a night course, evening course, however you want to call it. But a course that, depending on certain setups, may be pretty scoreable. So if you're playing commercial in a game, in a state that allows prize play, when you go through that rotation, whether you're on a PGA Tour or Golden Tee Live, there should be a blue banner that says Classic Course of the Week. Just select that, and then boom, you'll be put into a 50-man contest for prizes. That's what I'm doing so here, joining probably most of the people that played late at night and all the people that are getting up pretty early this morning to get out there and play Golden Tee. But this is one of those courses, especially with the new tees that came out in late 2019 for this course. Goes from a scoreable course to a really scoreable course, in my opinion. Two par fives go from sometimes difficult par fives to pretty straightforward, drivable par fours. Hole 4 is one of those. Par 5 now, because we're technically still in the original season tees. And then once new tees come out for the 2022 courses, with season 3 here soon, Agave Ranch, all those previous year courses that have new tees or had new tees in previous years, those will turn back on. So some of these holes you'll see a very drastic change whether you're playing them in glory mode, in casual, if you see them in closest to the pin, invites, etc. So no matter what though, whether it's the par 5 setups, par 4s, this is a fun course. If you've never played it before, you want to get out there and try it. It is a course that certain setups, like this one here where you're shooting behind Tall Hill, some setups, they'll challenge you a little bit, but nothing too terrible that you can't learn after a round or two at Agave. Looks like is that Chris Brewer playing as Carolina Clash, I would assume, or maybe Chris Longino with a one better so far. The other thing that's fun about these par 3s is you could see from the mini map on the left, some setups short 100, 150, 200 yard shots. Other ones like the one we just had, a little bit longer. So the club set I use has a mixture of hybrids and woods for that particular reason. I think you can be pretty safe with the club set you're using for most of the 2022 courses. But also not a bad time to try something new. The game is giving me a 3-wood, so I'm going to hope and pray that it doesn't hit that bush, which it did. I figured it was going to. There's not really a good reason why it shouldn't have. That's okay. We'll just try to chip in from 68 yards for eagle. It happens. Hole 8, this is another one where you can get a 258-yard shot here. I like this tee box because the green is slightly elevated, but not too badly. There's also a higher tee box. I can't remember if it is an original tee or if it's a new tee that gives you a pretty decent elevation drop that, at the first glance or two, will give you a little bit of a challenge, especially if you're newer to Golden Tee and trying to adjust or trying to learn the adjustment for what clubs to use when there is elevation changes, whether it's higher or lower, etc. This is another one, hole 9. Almost all the time you can take a little shortcut here and make this par 5 your second approach shot very, very short, which also makes it much easier to drop it in for double eagle, which would be great right now. Because I have super spin with bite, just giving it a little bit extra zing there. That's all right. We still get the eagle. 13 after 9. Not the great, but not that great, but not the worst score that we could shoot on this course. Definitely not the worst score that I've ever shot on this course, if I'm being honest. Agave Ranch number 10. Very unusual to see a par 3 as a hole 10. It's not something you see all the time. And that one is another one that can set up 200 yards or closer to 275. I think for me on Golden Tee Mobile, that hole is much more difficult than on the arcade side. Oh, that could go in. Oh, I hit the backspin button instead of the start button. I think I need somebody to do an instant replay here that I just got robbed. Should have been a one-hop zinger in the hole, but that's all right. It's been a little while since we hit a hole-in-one. We're just going to have to keep trucking at it, I guess. This next hole, pretty straightforward. This is literally the most straightforward box you'll have. Sometimes you'll have to do a little bit of a C3 around the rocks. You don't have to do that, but it's not as straightforward as this one is. It's never too early to practice your chipping. Clearly, I need more of it. But it is what it is. Hole 13, this is another one where so many different tee boxes, even tee boxes you don't see until the new tees or the newer tees, because they came out years ago, come out or are reintroduced for this course. But because this hole is so far away from the tee, it's not too bad, at least in this instance that I'm playing. The likelihood of you seeing the same setup that I see here, probably low, because these courses fill up pretty decently. Hole 14, par 4, drivable. This one you have to do a little bit more work, a little bit more magic to get it around the rocks. Nothing too bad, but there is a box, the bottom left of the screen there, that makes it more straightforward. But again, not always the easier shot. This one we're just going to soft little 3-wood on there. When I soft my shots, apparently I'm just softening them too much, but we're at least on the green there for eagle. As we get to hole 15, this is another fun par 5. You can go all the way to the left here if the wind supports it. You can lay up here. You can go to the far right and have a driver. You can also just do a high tee straight driver or a spinny shot here. I don't usually do this, but because it is a 13-mile-an-hour wind, we're going to just go ahead and put the drive out here. Have a little bit longer of a shot, but we can play that 13-mile-an-hour wind blowing to the left against the down green slope and the right 3 of the green slope. I'm going to soft that with bite. Hopefully the plan that I'm etching in my head works. Not too bad, a little bit too hard there. All right, hole 16, par 3, probably the toughest hole on Agave Ranch. This one's not too bad. I'm kind of in between clubs. I'm going to probably end up hitting a hard 5-wood. 3-wood is just too dangerous. It is up 6 right now, 9. You're probably more used to the straight tee box, the center tee box there, which would maybe make this a little bit easier, but I'm going to just use a tee. I want to scooch it over to the right. I'm not going to high tee it. I'm going to just pull this back and push it to the right. Let the wind and everything else take course. Perfectly happy with that. Now, it's still not a gimme putt because it's up 6, left 8, but these are the types of putts where if I think too much, I screw it up, so I just hit that trackball and keep on rolling. And then hole 17, it's hard to judge because there's a lot of shots that can be tough. But depending on where you end up, which tee box zone, this is probably one of the harder par 4s, especially for the newer players. Don't overthink it. This is coming from me who overthinks everything, not just Golden Tee. I'm just going to hit a little soft high 5 wood. Wasn't trying to get that close, but I will not be upset at that. Now, if you're really skilled, or if you're like an Eddie G or Joe Bassar Vengassi, you'll probably go 2 clicks left, full it. It'll backspin 8 times and then drop the cup. But that's not the level we're at. We're going to go with a little bit more simplistic and try to help elevate some of you guys that are still, they may be struggling because you just started playing. Now, hole 18, this par 5, always fun to end in a par 5. This is one of the other par 5s that with certain new tee box setups, it does become a par 4 that is drivable. This setup is actually really nice because it's 555. We have a 13-mile-an-hour wind. We don't even have to lay up in this small the right-hand side fairway. We're just going to go ahead and high tee this, and we're just going to blast it. We're going to blast it right on over. Now, the reason why I'm hitting it a little bit farther to the left is because I want to have enough room to pull the ball back to A and hit it out to the 1. I was really hoping to have the 3 hybrid because the 8 wood, you can cut it, but it's still not great. I'm going to try something that is uncommon for me, and I'm probably going to screw it up. Well, maybe not as bad as I thought. Typical Kevin would pull back in between the A, B, and hit out to the 1, but then you're messing around with, oh, that was such a terrible putt. That is where putting it without thinking is not good. But there you have it, this week's Classic Course of the Week, 2019's Agave Ranch. Play all throughout the week until the end of Sunday when that course resets. GoldenTee.com/locations to find a Golden Tee Live or Golden Tee PGA Tour game that has been updated to 2022. Stay tuned with us the rest of the week. We'll have plenty more Golden Tee action. Carolina Clash from Power Events this weekend as well, where we'll be streaming all weekend live. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys again soon.